Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome to a very special episode, a bonus episode, if you will, of The Good, the Bad, and the Rugby in partnership with our good friends at Vodafone. Haskintons are here.
Yes, hello.
We're talking grassroots,
I
which
love
warms
grassroots.
the soul when we do it, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It is a meandering, warm, loving experience between where we all started to where we are now, to going back again with the fun, the enthusiasm, and what rugby really should be without the commercialisation and monster requirement of sponsorship deals. It's all just fun and games, isn't it?
We have had a lot of
It's the
fun.
reverse for me, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I started off professional in pretty much that vein because I'm that old, in
Yes.
97, where it wasn't really professional, it was amateur. That was my first amateur experience. And then obviously got stagnated and boring through the end of my life in 2014, where it was all about ice baths and corporate appearances. And then
Yeah.
I donned the green, black and white of the Mighty Minch. And I was back.
You led from the front when it came to grassroots. I probably tucked in behind, and you're not a natural in the grassroots, but actually what you do like is the novel.
He came out of the shed at every 10 minutes before he had to go in for 2
Right,
hours.
look.
Hungover and midday snoozes. You were absolute pro
No,
at.
let's talk about it, right? So Tins, as we know,
Don't come back firing.
No, I will. Of course I will. That's what my whole.
Don't take away his whole thought.
Running out of time.
personality. If you literally stop me, come back and firing at people, what am I supposed to do? No, Tins, as we know, is the nicest one of us.
Yeah.
He reverse potholes to potholes. So someone comes up to him for a chat, and then they can't get away for an hour.
Yeah.
You're just Mr. Nice Guy, but too busy running your tech business, sort of just, bit like, hi, yeah, no, really, a bit like Boris Johnson.
Excuse me, I've got to go. I've got a call.
Yeah, got a call. And then I'm on the other end of the spectrum where when
I don't
I'm
like you. Go away.
No, when I'm required to do something, I will come out of the green room and I will deliver
Only if
with a
someone
plum.
shows in the contract first.
Yeah, so I'd walk in, I'd have my morning drinks, and then they would go, right, James, you need to coach the kids. I would come in and put spectacular coaching.
Make them all cry.
Yellow card a few of them, go back into the green room. Hass, we need you to do a social media thing. Come in there, tell them how they've all done it all wrong, and then leave.
Yeah.
Give a gym talk, go back in. But you two are in there all the time, giving too much.
You're like the cuckoo. Once an hour, you come out, you deliver, you go back in, and that's your lot.
I would love to be known as a cuckoo coming out, causing a bit of havoc, raising my voice. But I did do that. But honestly, they loved it. Because if you give them too much, it becomes commonplace. Mike was too easy, it's too accessible. All of this, half the wine club around his house all the time. All the fans think they're best mates. For me, they know that, I'm in the green room and you have to get through security, speak to my people, and my people may come back to you.
The velvet rope.
Yeah.
That's who you are. If you haven't worked it out by now, we went on a bit of a journey around the British and Irish Isles off the back of, it was a tough old Lions tour last time, and I wasn't to South Africa. But the main point of our journey was to see the legacy of the Lions and how it unfolds thanks to and with the help of Vodafone. So we've given team talks, social media talks, gym sessions, and Vodafone provided the clubs with all sorts of tech and digital skills to support their performance, their financial sustainability, and their online presence. Canterbury provided kit for the clubs as well, and VO gave the clubs cameras so they were able to record all of their matches automatically, which obviously is a massive help when it comes to reviewing training and games as well. Grassroots rugby, as we've touched on, is where both of these two started. It's something the three of us are very passionate about. You chuck your boots on a couple of times, walled up the shoulders. One poor child will never forget his breakdown encounter with you, but obviously enjoying that bit of the tour as much as any of it.
Yeah. I think it's just nice to be able to do it. I'm not in the same position as Hask where my body is fused together, and so it's quite nice to still have a run around and enjoy it. Chose not to do it in Aberdare because they were too good. They were young. The average age was 23, and they didn't.
They looked like they knew what they were doing,
and it was such a close game with Cambridge that it could have gone either way. And then they were like, maybe we'll just play 10 minutes longer at the end. And I was like, these boys had gone to the well. At one point, they lost by, and it was getting fiery towards the last 10 minutes. I'm like, the last thing they want is 10 minutes just to get an old guy on that they probably all want to kill. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Enjoyed Dungannon. I was getting hunted in Bannockburn by the army. Their 7 was literally hunting me, and knocked me over the ropes a couple of times and all sorts. So
I was in the green room for that. I didn't see that.
Slightly gone a bit too hard the night before. But I just what I enjoy about grassroots is it's everything I remember. It's everything remember going to Otley Rugby Club and the bar and the blazers and the old men telling stories and the kids running around and the characters, the local heroes who we talk about tall poppy syndrome in professional. There's no problems down at grassroots.
No.
If you're the man, you swan around like you're the man and everyone knows you're the man, but it doesn't happen at professionalism. So no, I just thought it was a fantastic experience for us. Everything what we want to be about, in terms of the stories and the characters that we want to tell, whether it be Foggy, whether it be Cheryl at Dungannon,
Jimmy at Bannockburn,
Jimmy at Bannockburn. Everyone's got. Oh, what was the chairman called at Aberdare?
Peter Williams,
the
singer-songer,
just incredible. So it's all about those characters and bringing it all together and why it makes rugby such a special sport in terms of the characters that you can build and the minds and hearts you can shape.
And I love the fact that it is the Lions, which is the epitome for any professional rugby player. I mean, every person, man, woman and child, who puts on a pair of boots.
I'm not all about it,
No, I know you're not. That or a World Cup. But there is a romance and a history attached to the Lions. But I love the fact that they are feeding back into the grassroots to make sure that the next gen are similarly inspired and able to go on that journey.
Yes, I mean, the whole, Vodafone Lions Legacy Tour is about kind of rekindling that conveyor belt to produce the fantastic Lions. Because I think, Lions is the most, the only sort of rugby thing steeped in more history than anything else, more journeys. The 6 months tours they used to go on with these, leave on steamboats and take them, as I said, 6 months to get around the world. But all these players ended up playing at grassroots clubs, played there, had an adventure, and ended up sort of, being part of that rich tapestry of rugby. And it's very important they kind of reinvest in it, because where will rugby be if they don't have that kind of conveyor belt? And it encapsulates everything that the Lions was about: personality, fun, both on and off the field, which in the professional era has been slightly lost. So, and I think ultimately they've got to reinvest in grassroots clubs, because the next crop of Lions will come through there. There's so many kids that have made it through, who have their first experience at grassroots, that will then watch the Lions and desire to represent that red jersey.
Good on you. Now we're going to go on a whistle-stop tour of the UK and Ireland to hear about how 4 grassroots clubs have got on since our visit. It feels a little bit like the moment when a couple come back to the house that's been built on grand designs. This is what we're calling our moment of truth. So we're going to take you from Westbury in England to Dungannon in Northern Ireland, to Bannockburn in Scotland, and finally to Aberdare in Wales. First up, though, let's head to Westbury and say a very warm welcome to Emma. First of all, how are you?
Yeah, it's been really good. You kicked us off in style, and then it just got better and better as soon as we could start playing rugby.
I'd like to say, I've been watching the socials. They're all doing well on socials. Loving the socials.
Thank you. Well, the VO camera does help massively with that Vodafone kindly gifted us. We've had lots of footage to be able to put out, all those tries and killer tackles. We've been able to put on social media.
Have you implemented kind of a lot of the things we talked about in, say, for example, in that social media kind of workshop? And I know Alex did a sustainability thing. Did you find some real value in that?
Yeah, 100%. I can't believe you haven't noticed all our emojis we've been using, James. We've been hitting them with the emojis, as you suggested, which really do work, and they make it a lot more engaging. And we've been doing lots of the video stuff that you recommended. And then commercially, we've put some of those ideas that Alex talked about into our 5-year plan. And things are looking really positive.
Emma, talk to us about Foggy. How's he got on, other than copping a lot of flack from the man on my left?
Yeah, he's got on really well. He was some of it's continued. You started a few trends when you came to visit us, so we've upped the abuse levels on him. You really set a precedent of how far we could take it. So he's been having some teasing, but I really enjoyed when you picked the nicknames for our men's side when you sat on the sidelines hurling abuse with their nicknames that you came up. When you guys left and the podcast recording was over, we had some real fun.
Can you shed any more light on that, actually? Because we all sort of quietly slipped off into the night, and it looked like the spark in the tinderbox was about to go off.
I couldn't possibly say. I couldn't possibly say.
I did hear that. I did hear a rumour that did some of the women's team get naked and start dancing around or something? There was some sort of carnage like that. Or was it maybe the men's team?
I'll leave that to your imagination.
Jesus,
then-
if we have imagination, it's a very dangerous
Yeah,
show.
my wife's not allowed. My wife even invades and controls my imagination.
It's
I'm
like,
not allowed things
like
like that.
Minority Report. You're dead before you've done the crime.
And then what about numbers generally? Obviously, we got to you very close to after COVID. Had the numbers picked up and people coming down and getting more involved with the club?
It has been a tough season. I think, we've kind of represented kind of what's happened at lots of rugby clubs in that it's been challenging. We've lost some players over COVID. People decided to retire maybe a couple of years earlier. And then coming back, we picked up some nasty injuries. It's been a couple of years without rugby, and as much as you try and do pre-season and you're trying to be really careful. So it has been kind of tougher, but we're looking positive for the starts of the new season. People are itching to get, properly back to normality now and get back to rugby.
Can I ask you about the walking rugby, which we all got involved in? And I have to say, probably got the heart rate up there, didn't it? Have you got good numbers down for that? Summer months, obviously.
Yeah, so we've done a few taster sessions for that, which have been really well received. And then we kick off this Friday with our walking rugby, which will basically continue through the year until people start getting too cold and too wet. But it's aimed at Friday night, come down, do an hour of walking around, and then have a pint in the
5 hours in the bar.
Yeah.
Good on you, Emma. It's very nice to check in with you. Let's go from Westbury to Dungannon and say hi to Rory and Cheryl again. And what a weekend we had in Northern Ireland. It's bloody cold. I think that we had sleet, snow, and everything in between. Tim's got his boots on. Has behaved badly as per normal. Cheryl, I'm going to come to you first of all because we had a very nice moment with you in unfurling the ladies' captain's banner. Is it still on the clubhouse wall?
Oh, of course it is. Yes,
Good.
absolutely.
Very glad to hear.
And it takes pride of place as well. We're very proud to have that board there.
Good. How has the women's team gone on? How's the women's side of the club fared over the last few months?
Yeah, just like Emma was saying, it was a difficult return, I suppose, after COVID, and the podcast certainly gave us a platform which we absolutely took full advantage of. So we've been able to grow numbers. We got to cup semi-final. Unfortunately, just wasn't our year, but we've planned big things going forward, and our numbers have just exploded, and we put that down to sort of the platform that we had and the awareness that it gave us just right across the board. With people returning home from England who are now looking us up to join, which is brilliant, instead of having to necessarily take people from complete beginners right up.
And then have you been able to use the kit that Vodafone provided to help and benefit in both the men's and the women's?
Absolutely. We were able to use youth boys, youth girls in the women's team. We had got boots, and there was some very sad cases there that we were able to give brand new boots to who had maybe just hand-me-downs from ex-players and things like that. And we actually have a fantastic community within the club, which has allowed us to obviously capitalise on those people and give them something that they're very proud to have, and obviously go out and represent the club every week.
Rory, has that kid that Tin's put in the ground, is his spine back together, or is he okay?
Is his feet still sticking out
Still
of
waiting.
the floor?
Still waiting for that claim to come into the club, actually, off the back of that. But no, he's fine by all accounts.
By all accounts, no one's seen him.
No. No news is good news, I think, on that one.
I don't know what you're talking about. It was a perfectly legal...
No arms, head down, bull up challenge. We also had a fabulous sing-song as well with, I think it was Hurrah, Hurrah, Dungannon, Where's the Crown? Have you had a chance to probably rip into that throughout the course of the season? What have been the other highlights for the club over the last 6-7 months?
We had a great season for our under-18s, actually. They ended up winning what's called the Nutty Crust tournament. So, there was plenty of sing songs along the way to that cup final. I think that was probably one of the highlights. As Cheryl's mentioned, the women's team in their cup semi-final. First 15, they actually had a bit of a mixed season. I think very competitive, but a few results didn't go their way in terms of 3 draws during the season and a lot of losing bonus points. But I think we'd be very optimistic for next season there. We've got a new coaching team in place and a lot of new recruits coming in. So No, I just would reiterate what the other guys have kind of said already, and that the podcast kind of really galvanised the club coming out of COVID, gave us a bit of a launch pad, and things are really looking up on and off the pitch for next season.
I just quickly wanted to ask, well, we loved having Stephen Ferris and Tyrone Howe with us, and to see how much the club means to them was evident. I just wonder what it meant to the club to have those guys back as well.
Oh, it was fantastic. And I always remember just after the podcast, John Beattie, he's kind of one of our real statesmen of the club, has been around forever. And he came up to me afterwards and he said, the only night that I think competes with that is the night that we won the All-Ireland League 20 years ago. So that's the kind of, esteem that the night was held in the club, which is fantastic. It's one of those nights that I think people will talk about for years to come. It's one of those were you there nights. So, and that's what you need in an amateur club to really energise the volunteers, because everybody's putting in long hours after work, before work, and those days and nights are the reward for that. So, we just want to thank everybody again at Vodafone and GBR for putting it on, really.
Have you found any kind of value, like I sort of asked the same guys at Westbury, in value in terms of the social media stuff and the kind of workshops we did? Have you found that useful? Because obviously the socials and stuff are going well, but again, some clubs it works really well for. Some clubs want to just showcase, others were all about recruitment. How have you found it?
Good, yeah. I mean, we would still refer back to the workshops that we had with yourself and Alex. We have our 150 year, not next season, but the following season, and we've just set up a committee for that. So
sounds like a comeback.
Some of the advice that we'll clear the diary for 23-24 season. The social media side, it's slow moving, but we're trying to get there in terms of pulling the accounts together, because the minute we have the minis, the women's, and the senior men's all running different pages, and we'd like to really try and bring that together under a one club kind of ethos. We're trying to bring in advice that James gave us around, posting for a reason, and having, the different teams maybe having their different days during the week that when they're going to post, knowing what they're going to post. So it's moving in the right direction there. But I mean, the advice that we got in those workshops was definitely invaluable and something that we're still taking on board.
Let's go from Dungannon to Bannockburn and bring in Jimmy. And again, just a fabulous, fabulous weekend. It started with a bang. We had a little dip into Edinburgh on our way up, and then just a brilliant night with everyone at Bannockburn as well. And we loved seeing how much the club is doing for veterans in the forces as well. Jimmy, give us a little bit of a snapshot as to how things have gone since we were up there having a really good time with you.
No, of course, and good to see you all again, and see the other clubs as well. We had a good chat before we started, actually. So yeah, it was good. I think positively, maybe. I think we did the Army more favours because they went on to win the Inter-Services Cup that year. So
they did good.
They've done very well, and yeah, for the club, it's been a real platform, and I think the GBR event was almost like a marker, which marked the end of one period where essentially the club was all about the men's team, and it's really sprungboard us onto a new period, like Rory was saying there, like the whole club ethic or ethos, a women's game, a women's data, what's the word for, subscription base is massive. It's almost going to take over the boys, I think, in the next couple of years. That seems to be going that way. We've established our junior section now, our own junior section. So yeah, from that perspective, we've gone from this one club ethos to a full club ethos with lots of different teams. Yeah, and on the veteran side, we've opened up some doors. We've still work to do there, I think. Lots of work to do with that and the local community. But no, it was a great event, and it really put Bannockburn, which is a tiny little club of 84 players registered, it's really put us on the map. So I think there's definitely big things to come for the club going forward.
I was thinking there was a lot that went on that weekend. There was James's nemesis. Do we still see her much?
Yeah.
We saw her at the live
she came
tour.
to the live show.
She to the live show.
She
We
behaved
sent her
very
to the
well.
live show.
She behaved very well at the live
Do
show.
you know what? I saw her when she came. She turned up, and I was honestly, I looked at the lads and I was like, "Are you serious?"
She
No,
won
she had
a
a
bid.
meet and
She won the
greet,
auction.
didn't she? Yeah,
I
she
know
had a
she
meet
won
and
the auction,
greet.
but we tried to auction to send her to Peru on a one-way trip, and that was the biggest.
It was
bet.
funded by her husband.
Yeah, so her husband went $5,000. It was the biggest bid of the night.
And then obviously we did the bagpipes. We did the.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that. I have not. Everyone keeps sending me that, going, "You look like fat bastard out of Austin Powers," and I didn't. Yeah.
Achieve the aim.
You did. Shoot, that was it. I've never. Yeah. I've managed to get the taste of that bloke's bagpipe thing out my mouth as well, just about.
But it's so with the women's game growing, because that day I think there were two teams or three teams amalgamated together, weren't there? So are we now getting your solely a Bannockburn team out on their own?
So I think this is going to be our last season of development rugby. So we've got 26 registered players. So this is the last year, spin it up, and then, but yeah, absolutely. Next season we're going to aim to launch into the leagues.
What was the name of that badass lady that just tackled everyone?
Oh, yes.
Well, you had two. You had the tackle machine, and she's now nicknamed, which is Dana DeVos.
Yes.
And Monica as well.
Yeah, Monica was great, but DeVos, she was...
The craziest lady was the one who wasn't playing with her knee bandaged up. And she had a drop goal attempt. And she was like, well, you snapped your cruise ship. What are you having a drop goal for?
I love it.
It was quite funny story. When you guys had left, actually, Dana DeVos flattened the president on the dance floor with a tackle. So I'm sure they won't mind me telling you that.
I love that.
That's grassroots rugby, right?
How did the president go down? Is there a formal committee?
Like a sack of...
I'm hoping, though, it's a pat on the back. Good hit.
That's what I mean. Or is it going to be like a disciplinary now? You've got to discuss it, disrespect the president, or we just brushed it off?
No, brushed it off. High five all around.
Brushed it off, neck a pint, move on.
Brushed it off, got his hip replaced and carried on. How did you find in terms of, obviously we did an auction at every one of the venues. I haven't really asked the others now. You know, the money we raised in that auction, do you find a good home for it? Has it had an impact?
Yeah, so it was amazing. So, well, from some extent, apart from when me and my son were bidding against each other, that was boring.
A highlight for us.
So yeah, the remnants is behind me. But no, it was massive. So to give you an example, of what we've done. So we just started to build a second pitch, because the old one was starting to get full of molehills. So the money from the event has now bought us new posts, new pitch dressing, and it's actually been able to get all the new pitch lined out and stuff. So in the next, I think on the 6th of August, we're erecting the posts and stuff. So there'll be a lot of the money came from the auction.
Amazing.
Fantastic. Has your son finished the washing up yet in terms of paying off his debt, or has he still got another couple of years to go?
I had to go and get the other stuff framed for him as well. Unbelievable.
Ouch. Ouchie, he's got bed and board for a long time to come yet. Good on you. We had such a good time, obviously at Bannockburn, and we will finish our little roundup by heading to Aberdare and saying hello to Daryl. How are you, first of all? How has the end of the season been with you, Daryl?
The good news is it reinvigorated. Like everybody else, we had that chat. It just complements everything that you did for us. It put us into a higher profile, just made us more, visible in the area. And I just think everybody enjoyed what went on, and it invigorated everybody to start again. It came out of a difficult period with COVID, with the restrictions and everything else that was going on, and just give you that platform to restart and rethink everything. And Alex, I've got to say, the workshop we had, that it sounds awful that we were talking a load of bump or whatever, but it's actually worked in the fact that we're doing a couple of surveys, trying to reconnect with all the youth that we felt we weren't doing very well with. And it sort of worked for us, because you inwardly look sometimes, but you need that outside view to give you an idea. So that was really, really helpful. And, the kids actually loved the day. So many of them keep on talking about it still. So what more could you ask?
The best thing for me was I actually didn't get to put my boots on that day, because it was a bit of a fiery game with Cowbridge.
It's a proper game, wasn't it?
Yeah, and if anyone comes back and says they found my boots, can they send them back?
We've auctioned them.
Pounds in the pot.
£2.50.
Being in Aberdare, thank God you didn't drive down, because you come back with your car on bricks.
I think I might say there were about 300 minis running around on the day. I mean, it was such a vibrant morning to be a part of. Has that trend continued? Have you managed to rope in a few more? Has there been some good stories at that level?
Yeah, a couple of the age groups weren't flush with players, and all of a sudden we seem to have gone from one of the age groups, I think it was the under 12s, they've went from 18 players up to 29 now. All of a sudden they've just caught on for some reason, and it's on the back of all this coming forward. And the under 14s, they weren't playing on that day, but you did a coaching session with them. They actually went on and won the cup down in Cardiff. So that's all a knock-on effect. So I think everybody we speak to, it's such a positive thing has come out of it. And you left Tommy with us on the night. He didn't come back to Cardiff, obviously.
True.
He couldn't find his hotel, I was told.
He's a changed man. He's a bit like Uncle Bryn. He won't tell us what happened, but he certainly, he had a good time doing it. Go on, Daryl.
I was going to say, Daryl, sorry I couldn't be there. I was gutted not to get down. Obviously, we cancelled it a couple of times, but I did hear that the old boys took over the event. Essentially, it was all supposed to be about sort of development. The old boys came in, took over the Q&A, massive sing-song. Was that right?
Yeah, Peter Williams was on form. You know, he hasn't stopped. He was up the house yesterday, still performing. 85. And he said, right, they've had enough of you lot talking. It's our turn now. So we just led them in a sing-song.
It was amazing.
I'm just
what
delighted.
A clubhouse, though.
What a
that
clubhouse.
Is. I mean, incredible clubhouse. One side for the young guys where they can bring their boom boxes into, and the other side for the Blazers. They love a blazer in Wales.
I'm just delighted to hear that Peter's still alive, because I thought based on bits of that evening, it wasn't much long for this earth. But I'm very glad to hear he's still singing and singing hard. And tell us a little bit as well, just about the kit and the impact that the supporting brands, Vodafone, Canterbury, etc., have had for you.
Yeah. Well, the actual nice thing with the Canterbury kit is it actually arrived, the second part of it, last weekend.
Good. Right. We'll blame Brexit timelines, but in terms of the impact.
Yeah, no, but what it has done is just, we've got new kit for next year. We don't have to worry about looking for funds or anything else. We're not dipping into extra monies or trying to raise more money. So everything is going on. And I will say our clubhouse, since that event, normally this time of the year, we're not, a busy place because it's seasonal.
Yeah.
We're fully booked out now for the rest of the summer right through to the winter. So it's just that easiness of finances really coming through, and it makes the rugby much more enjoyable because you can fund whatever's asked of us. And
fantastic.
And we've got a new coaching team in, same two senior coaches, but a new retired Richellard's joined the coaching team, which will make a big difference to the senior boys as well, because he's quite a well-known figure in the area.
This has been it's been so good to check in with everybody, and actually we've loved our weekends on the road with Vodafone and coming to see not only your good selves, but also everyone associated with your clubs as well. Please give a massive hug to Foggy for us, Emma. I'm sorry we haven't had the chance to catch up. We'll catch up with him down the line. I hope you guys and girls will keep in touch as well,
because Foggy came to
the live show.
The live show
in
which theatre
Bristol,
it was?
Bath, I think it was.
In Bath. So
he got
a bit of face-to-face time. Yeah. Got into him a little bit. Didn't we talk about him in the show? I think we mentioned him or something. Yeah. So he's had a bit. So you can't feel too sad.
Yeah.
I just because it echoes Alex's points. Is that actually when all of us came through kind of grassroots, pathways we talked about, and actually, it was great to go and visit each one of your clubs and see that grassroots rugby is exactly as it should be. Big personalities, club heroes, fun, lightheartedness, a desire to be successful in your own rights and stuff. We loved it, didn't we?
Yeah.
We just, every time we got there, from start to finish, bear in mind we were there from 8 o'clock in the morning to about 12 o'clock at night. We saw every single facet, every single bit. We saw the best. We saw some of the worst after a few pints.
The best of times and the worst of times.
It was unbelievable. So thank you so much for making us all so welcome. And hopefully, we'll do it all again some other time.
Yeah. Very good for the soul, isn't it?
Very good indeed.
If you got a soul, it was very good, but I wouldn't know about it.
Anything to get my boots back on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Good on you all. Thank you very much indeed. Look after yourselves. Good luck for the coming season. Enjoy everything between now and then. And we'll look forward to checking in again before too long. We have been the good, the bad, and the rugby, celebrating the end of Vodafone's Lions Legacy Tour. It's been an absolute blast. I hope that's come through in the content we've created. We'll see you all again very soon indeed. Bye for now. If you're part of a grassroots or community rugby club and need a little help in growing and becoming more sustainable, do yourself a favour and check out the Rugby Hub on Vodafone's website. They've set up this incredible free platform with guidance and toolkits on everything from social media, content and digital marketing to how to maximise income from sponsorship, available to all community rugby clubs across the UK and Ireland. To find out more about how your club can benefit from Vodafone's amazing online resources, head to vodafone.co.uk and type in the Rugby Hub in the search bar.